Well, we're in a drought of sorts, hydrological drought, meteorological drought, right? As meteorological especially, but we're also in a tornado drought as of late. But that's really a good thing when it comes to the real strong tornadoes, I'd say. But there's been quite a few, though, over time.
So today I'm starting a new series looking at our region's most significant tornadoes, and the most recent EF-3 tornado was in Baker, Montana. That is in our coverage area, Fallon County, southeast Montana. The most recent EF-3 or stronger tornado to occur in the first-warn viewing area was on this day 9 years ago in Baker, Montana. Vaughn with the Fallon County Historical Museum brings us back to that day.
It was such a busy day. There was so much going on. You had the high school rodeo finals were in town. There was a golf tournament that day. There was Little League baseball and softball going on, all in that general area where the tornado formed. I was working on the radio at the time that morning, and we got a call from National Weather Service that day saying like, hey, there is a really good chance of tornadoes. And so I was blasting all that morning that there might be a tornado. And there was never a warning. The tornado was already on the ground before we ever got a warning, before the sirens went off. We never knew that it was happening. And then, once it started going on, it was complete chaos. You had to figure out where your friends were, where your family was. And the tornado actually went right through my mom and dad's backyard.
And I'll have Vaughn's full interview on our website a little bit later today. He has some really great stories from that Saturday in June when the tornado struck Baker and produced catastrophic damage to some parts of town. It was relatively narrow swath that sustained the worst damage, but 10 homes and 4 other structures, garages, shops, outbuildings were destroyed. An additional 30 homes had minor or moderate damage. 6 people were injured. Fortunately, they were all non-life-threatening injuries. There were no deaths to people, but there were several horses killed south of town as the tornado was forming. And again, several homes were leveled, reduced to rubble. There was some debris that was thrown and wrapped around the trees, just showing how strong this tornado was. Severe thunderstorm warning was issued by the Billings office as the tornado formed, and then that tornado warning came as it was passing through town. There's some really interesting mesoscale meteorology with the surface boundaries that came together to provide enough low-level spin for that tornado to form. And it was a quick spin up, but produced a lot of damage. We'll go back to Vaughn here talking about the aftermath that night.
After the tornado was already on the ground, the sirens started going off, and then it was a scary night. I mean, we were all in the dark, and there was the potential that the tornado sirens actually came on again about 50 minutes later after this first one. So there was the potential for 2 more tornadoes that night. Thankfully, none of them ever actually formed, but so we were worried about that also. But it was the response from local law enforcement. It was like we had tornadoes all the time here. Like, it was incredible, the great response. I mean, we had local law enforcement and city and county, and local businesses were rallying. And I mean, it's the quintessential small town. Like, everybody rallies around in a disaster. And I mean, everybody was just out helping that night. It was amazing. One of our volunteer fire department members was getting married about 15 miles down the road from here. So there were, like, our entire volunteer fire department was over in Marmarth, North Dakota when this hit. And a lot, like, our sheriff was over there. Like, a lot of our law enforcement was at this wedding about 15 miles away when this thing hit. So the fact that they were able to get out of that wedding and get back here and respond the way they did was great.
So let's zoom in to the path that this tornado took. It initially formed south of Baker and produced EF-0 or EF-1 level damage. So there were some impacts to buildings there in an RV park, but then it really intensified as it went to the east side of Baker, east of the lake, and this is where it produced the most damage, the EF-3 style damage with between 136 and 165 mile-per-hour winds. That's also when it was somewhat stationary, throwing a lot of debris into the lake, and on the aerial view you can see how some homes were completely wiped off the map there. So we'll go back to Vaughn talking about the storm survey process that the Weather Service did.
When they came out, At first it was, oh boy, EF-1, whatever, and then we actually got weather service on the ground here, and they were like, this is as destructive a tornado as we've ever seen in Montana. And it was crazy that there were no fatalities. There was a gentleman in an RV park. His RV got picked up and thrown 20 feet with him and his dog inside. There was another guy, his house he was in the basement and his house collapsed on him, but his basement was strong enough that it didn't actually pile into the basement. But he was stuck in his basement until the next day before they could get him out. So, I mean, there were certainly some scary moments, and you were seeing, people's four-wheelers and things were getting thrown into the lake. I mean, you would literally see debris flying through the air, like massive amounts of debris flying through the air. The big process was the lake, because there was just so much debris that was thrown into the lake. That was about a 3-year process. We had to drain the entire lake, dredge everything out of the bottom of it, and then refill the lake. So by the time it was 2021, I think, before the lake actually reopened for people to be able to use it again. We did a survey, and this is funny. We asked, what is the best thing to happen to Baker in the last 25 years? And we asked, what's the worst thing to happen to Baker in the last 25 years? And the number one answer to both questions was that tornado. Because we got a brand new, I mean, like our lake was not great at the time. So being able to dredge out the lake, make it a little bit deeper, a little bit cleaner. So we fixed up the lake. Darn near everybody in town got new sidings and roofs. So there was a lot of good that came out of it. And, we can say that now in retrospect, because no one was seriously injured and no one died. But I thought it was hilarious when we saw that answer, that it's the best thing and the worst thing to happen to Baker.
Because there was another significant hailstorm the next month after the tornado that did some damage. So everyone was able to repair and rebuild and have a positive outlook that, hey, the town's better now after the storm.
So amazing. It's been 9 years, on that Saturday, 9 years ago today. Let's hope it doesn't repeat, though. No more strong tornadoes.
I'll be looking back at all the other strong tornadoes in our region in the coming weeks, so stay tuned.
Definitely.
Right.
Good.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
we'll
thanks,
be right
Jacob.
back.
You're welcome.